Yo, what is up, everybody? Back again. Y'all already know what
Nail,
it is.
play that shit.
Oh yeah!
Oh man, this man got the background.
You already know, man. Get that money, man. Get that money. Take to the house. Ain't no easy money. Easy money. Well, it should be easy money, but like
Look,
I
knock
said,
on wood, knock on wood.
Look at the rookies we drafted. We got Dean and we got Davis. Two from Florida. It doesn't get better than that shit.
yeah, put that shit up.
As Ricky Bobby said, if you ain't first,
You're
you're
last.
last.
Exactly.
Second place is at 2.
Definitely gonna make up for it.
Trust me. I need a sports podcast, man. I need it. What is up, everybody? You already know what it is. Welcome back to the I Need a Sports podcast. Another episode coming to y'all. Got to recap NFL Week 14. Another slow week, man. Kind of got played this week. My Chiefs sold the bag, up 27-0. Had a 9.5 spread. We're gonna cover it with ease. And then they started BSing, playing around. Let Russell Wilson and the Broncos come back. What else went wrong? Miami. I was blindly a believer. I shouldn't have took the bait. 2 of them boys, like I said on a couple of episodes ago, I was like, this stretch when they go on these 3 road games, San Francisco, LA. This week they at Buffalo. I was like, it's going to tell us a lot about what Miami, like who they are as a team. And right now, it looks like they're frauds. Going to be in a snow game this weekend, looks like, versus Buffalo. So I can only imagine how that goes. I don't think it's going to go any better than what we've seen. But yeah, man. 1-3 on the picks. I think Cam was like, what, 1-5.
Yeah, 1-5.
The Titans got waxed by the Jaguars.
Crazy.
I think they're now on a like 4-game losing streak, and technically they could lose the AFC South title to the Jaguars. Funny enough, Ravens covered for you plus 2.5. But unfortunately they lost Huntley now, so now they got third string Brown in as quarterback. They got Lamar listed as questionable. I don't know if he's coming back or whatever. Seahawks finally look like they're the Seahawks. Sadly, I mean, it's not sad because they did way more than expected of them. So I mean, they still got a good season. They're still gonna have 2 great draft picks, and thanks to the Russ trade. And then the Browns plus 6. Joe finally got his first dub against Cleveland, as you said. Thought they would cover though, and Deshaun Watson did not look any better in his second week of playing. And I get it, like he's missed football for 2 years, but like he doesn't look good. And it doesn't even look like there's any like elements of the old Deshaun. So who knows? But Cleveland season, yeah, it's probably a wash. And I mean, at least this year they in his contract they didn't pay him the full money yet. They just paid the like little 1 million, and then everything kicks in next year. But next year, if they don't do anything, the full off season, I don't know, that might be in contention for the worst trade up there with Russ. And funny enough, the first game we'll talk about in this recap, the guy they made in that trade for Deshaun Watson, Baker Mayfield, not with the team he got traded to, Carolina. He's now with the LA Rams. Dude literally had 2 practices, and I think Sean McVay said he had because it's just basically walkthroughs at this point in the season. He ran through 20 plays through those 2 practices before the game on Thursday, then goes in there and leads a 98-yard game-winning drive.
Crazy, man.
Boy, I'll tell you, how about them Raiders? Just win, baby. Or just find a way to lose, baby. I don't know. I don't know how that locker room was after the game, but they're still not technically eliminated, but they basically eliminated themselves losing that game. They have to win out, and a whole bunch of other stuff has to happen for them to even have a chance, man. But You think Baker could this be a possible home in LA? Because me personally, I think so. Because I think Stafford's gonna retire after this year. Because his wife had the whole brain tumor situation, so she already doesn't take lightly to head injuries. He had the concussion, which is also somewhat of a spine injury. He's been in the league for like what, probably 14, 15 years now. Got his Super Bowl ring last year. He's got nothing left to prove. He got stats. I mean, I don't think he's first ballot, but he'll probably be a Hall of Fame player eventually. And so I think, his wife tells him, you need to sit your ass down, come raise these kids and be healthy enough to do that. And unlike Tom Brady, I think Stafford's going to listen and he's going to retire. And the Rams, they don't have any picks. Baker, I mean, we've seen Sean McVay be good with Jared Goff. I think he could do the same with Baker. So how you feel about Baker in LA?
Baker in LA, I can definitely see it. I think if it's not LA, he'll definitely get a starting spot somewhere in the league because I still think he's able to be a starting quarterback somewhere. But as far as the Rams though, Sean McVay, Aaron Donald, I think that's pretty much all over. Like I feel like we could potentially see Aaron Donald retire this year. He's been hitting at it for a while now. He's been talking about it for a while now, and once Aaron Donald is gone, I believe Sean McVay he'll be next in line too. Because he's been saying like he just doesn't really like enjoy like not necessarily like coaching, but like doing stuff, the grind for coaching and stuff like that. So I can definitely see him retiring, after this year or like in a year or two or so. Because I feel like his heart probably not even in it no more. But yeah, this is what the Rams did. They traded picks, for a ring, sold they sold for a ring. I mean, rightfully so though, because I mean that's what you play for. Yeah, that's what you play for. And with the fans, they probably not even like mad because they got their ring or whatever. And winning a Super Bowl, winning any championship in any sport, like that's like that brings so much like memories and like like it's just that moment, just that feeling, having that feeling, like it's amazing. Like you'll never forget that for the rest of your life. So yeah, man, it's tough. So I don't know.
Yeah, no, I definitely understand. I'm sure. I mean, you just got to see it. What, a month ago, your Astros won again.
Yeah.
I know back in 2017 how lit you were, how amazing that was.
Mm-hmm.
2019 when my Chiefs won, I mean, I never thought I would see them make a conference championship growing up because we didn't. I literally seen them win one playoff game, and that was against y'all with Brian Hoyer. So it was like, is that really a good playoff win? I don't know. But then to see them win that Super Bowl, it was like, wow, I'll never forget that ever. Like, shoot, my kids gonna know about Patrick Mahomes if he's not still playing when they hear.
Oh, for
But
sure.
like, yeah, that's what you do it for. The Rams got it. You can't ever take it away from them.
Mm-hmm.
They had a great run, won it in their home stadium. So I mean, that's like adds even more to the memories. But I mean, I agree with what you're saying because I mean, Aaron Donald hadn't missed any games for like I want to say his career, but if not his career, it was like a long streak where he hadn't even missed a game. And now I think he sat for his like third week in a row with a ankle injury, and it's like that's nothing he really does. And I mean, the season's over, so that's part of it too. But since he's hinted at retirement, he's probably gone too. It would just really suck. Like I know Sean McVay said what he said, and if Aaron leaves, he's done too. But it would suck so much for Baker if like comes into the situation. He's shown some promise so far. I mean, there's still 4 more games left, so we'll see how that plays out. But like, if he plays well, it shows like with Sean McVay's game planning, he can still be a serviceable QB. And then Sean McVay leaves, and then it's like he kind of back to square one, like as a Carolina rebuild situation where it's like you got no coach, I mean, you'll have Cooper Kupp, I guess, but other than that, team's just gonna kind of be in shambles. So that definitely would be tough for him. I hope Sean McVay does stay, regardless if Stafford and Donald do decide to hang it up. But on the flip side, man, I think that was the final nail in Derek Carr's coffin. Like, And people on Twitter, like, it was a big debate after the game, like, oh, McDaniel's not calling plays. It's on the play calling. Like, he only threw the ball 11 times in the second half, trying to, hold the lead. And it's like, bro, this is Derek Carr's 9th or 10th year in the league. He can't audible out of stuff if he feels differently. Like,
Yeah.
that's one. And then two, like, you're telling me at the end of the day, McDaniels doesn't trust him enough to call more plays, and you have Devontae Adams and stuff like that. And I think he went like 2 for 11, had like damn near a 0 QBR for the second half. And once again, the Raiders blow a double-digit lead, and they were coming in on like what, a 4-game winning streak. They now dropped to 5-8. I mean, what else? What is the game plan for Las Vegas now? Do you say like, yeah, man, let's still go for it. There's still a chance we make the playoffs, or you kind of start looking to see like maybe play a role player here, a bench player here, just to see what they have. Because I would suspect they're probably gonna have to do quite a bit of roster turnover next year. Because what's his name? Their owner is already Al Davis, or not Al Davis. Mark Davis has already said like McDaniels is here to stay. They're not getting rid of him. And I think financially speaking, they can't get rid of him because they guaranteed him so much money. If they were to fire him, I don't think they would be able to pay another coach for real. So McDaniels is there. Derek Carr, up in the air. There's still side fans that want him, some that don't. Then Josh Jacobs, are you going to pay him? Because, yeah, running backs are expendable, but then also he's looked really good this year. If you think you could build a better team next year, would you want to keep him? And, like, what's the price tag for him, honestly? Because even though he's had a great year, I don't know where he ranks in running backs for the league because, it's still, I'd say this year, Henry, Chubb, Saquon, McCaffrey's got a resurgence, obviously, with the 49ers. Trying to think. It's not, nobody would put him here yet, but I think we got a steal in Pacheco. Like, it just going to be if Andy Reid, and then we'll start calling more run plays. But I think he's going to be a dog in this league for years to come. Who else? Am I missing anybody? Mixon from Cincinnati. Eckler, like, he's still, I guess you could say Jacobs arguably top 10 running back, maybe top 8. But what is that market like? Like, how much should you pay him for real? So what do you think the Raiders, like, what should be their game plan going forward?
Their game plan going forward, I definitely see Jacobs. I definitely see them letting Jacobs go because they did just draft Zamir White from Georgia or whatever. Just drafted him. I could see them probably potentially draft another running back coming up in this in this draft, but I don't see them paying Jacobs. I see them letting him walk. I see them probably trading Carr, probably trying to get like maybe they trade Carr to like the Bucks or something like that, and try to get Brady on some type of deal, or they they go after Jimmy G or somebody like that for quarterbacks also. I think Devontae stays for now, but I don't think I don't see him staying there like his whole what's
Contract.
called his whole contract,
Yeah.
or even never know. They might go after Aaron Rodgers. You never know. So I definitely see them trading for a quarterback, or maybe signing for one in free agency or something like that. Or if they have a high enough pick, maybe they just draft one also. But I wouldn't. Maybe they. How about this? Maybe they play their cards in the draft or whatever, and maybe they go after Anthony Richardson, the quarterback from Florida. He has high potential, high upside. Sometimes when you watch him play, he makes a couple of crazy throws, but his highs are very high, but his lows are very low. So you never know. Maybe they go after a guy like that. He'll probably be like the third or fourth quarterback probably taken. But yeah, it's gonna be very interesting to see what they do. But I think Carr is out. I think Josh Jacobs is out. Unfortunately, they'll have to keep McDaniels. Um, they'll probably let him get the quarterback that he wants. So I don't know. We'll see what happens in Las Vegas, but I think Devontae stays.
And that's the scenario where if they traded for Rodgers, that'd be interesting because like obviously Devontae played with him before this year, his whole career, and put up amazing numbers. Part of the reason why people think, he's a future Hall of Fame receiver. But at the same time, Green Bay had the money to pay him, and Devontae chose to leave Aaron Rodgers and come here. Part of that reason was Derek Carr. So part of me wonders if does Devontae Adams really want to play with Aaron Rodgers again if that was to like be a potential trade. I don't know. And the Raiders are his hometown team, and all his family are Raiders fans, so that was part of the reason too. But it's like you trade away Derek Carr, who's his college quarterback and one of his good friends, and then bring him back with Rodgers, who, I mean, nobody will ever know for real because we're not in the locker rooms, obviously. But it's well documented. Aaron Rodgers isn't necessarily a locker room guy, and he's kind of abrasive to a point. So I mean that would be interesting a reunion with them to see how that fares and if Devontae would have any backlash with it or if he would try to be getting out of Las Vegas. But interesting for sure, man. Interesting for sure. We don't have to touch every game because some of these games like it just don't matter anymore. But Bills pick up their first division win. They don't look like the Bills they look like in the beginning of the year, but they keep winning games, so they're holding on to that number one spot, which is all they have to do. They can put an even stronger hold on the AFC North, AFC East this week when they play the Dolphins, and if they can beat them, that'll knock the Dolphins 2 games back, and then every team in their division will have 6 losses. But Josh Allen, I think that arm injury, what was it, UCL injury? I think that's really affecting him because ever since like that occurred, his passing numbers has just gone way down. And I know some people are saying like it's stale offensive play calling by Leslie and like they're not drawing up any unique plays and nobody's getting open from what they're calling. But I really think like it might come out after the season's all said and done with. Josh Allen might have like a surgery or something, and they're just not like he can play with it right now because he probably can't damage it worse, so to speak. But it's not to the point where it's gonna heal itself while he's still playing. So that's definitely a thing to keep your eye out for. And that obviously sucks for them, especially after. I mean, it happened before, but now you lose Von Miller, and now you're still dealing with the banged up quarterback. And I guess Gabe Davis, he hasn't really panned out as wide receiver too, like people thought he would. So they even went and just signed Cole Beasley back. He's on their practice squad right now, but I'm sure he'll get bumped up. But Bills, like I said, they found another way to win, and against a really tough Jets defense, and they killed Mike White in the process to the point where Zach Wilson might have to get his spot back. He's now been bumped up to quarterback too because I think Joe Flacco got a concussion when he came in. So who knows if Mike White is still it's a rib injury. So I mean that can't heal really whatsoever. So Mike White can't really go these next couple weeks. It might be Zach Wilson. And this literally might be his audition on whether or not he's able to stay in New York or he gets traded. But who knows? And the Bills, they got Miami this week. And then I think in 3 weeks from now, they have the Bengals. But that's pretty much, they had the Patriots at the end of the season. But at this point, I don't think the Patriots can really do anything to stop Josh Allen. Like, it's just a bad matchup for them. So the only 2 games I think they could possibly lose is either this week versus the Dolphins or this week versus the Bengals. But I'm confident that they can beat the Dolphins because it's, like I said, it's going to be a snow game, 20-degree weather. Tua literally hasn't won a game where it's under 40 degrees. And that Miami offense looks kind of figured out now. And I think Tyreek is banged up. So who knows if he'll be able to. I'm sure he'll go, but I don't know how 100% he'll be. I want to say Jeff Wilson also got hurt, and you're going to need a running game when it's cold. So this Bills-Miami matchup, you think Bills handle business or Miami keeps it close? How you think that game goes out?
Oh man, it's tough. It's tough to say because, like you said, Josh Allen is definitely dealing with that injury or whatever. I think that's definitely messing with him because bro only led through like 20 some passes this game, and it was even for like 200 yards, like for like around
147, I think.
yeah
Something
around
real
there.
low.
Yeah, so I mean, it's gonna be very tough. I think it could be a closer game, but if Tua just doesn't look good at all and just throwing picks, I mean, they definitely could get blown out by what the spread is like. I think -7, so they definitely could lose by more than a touchdown for sure. But I think this game will be a little bit more closer than what people are thinking. I still think the Bills will win the game though for sure. But if Tua doesn't show up, I mean they will get blown out. So it's really all up to little up to Tua at this point.
Oh, facts. And on the other side, I mean, the Jets probably are the biggest Bills fans this weekend because I don't know if you saw the press conference after the game, but Salah was like, we'll see these guys again. Like this year, like we'll see them again and we'll be ready.
Oh shit.
And I mean, kind of a bold statement to say because, like, literally, it's not in his hand. Like, the Jets can win, like, they can win out, but there's still a chance they won't make the playoffs still because with the way things went this weekend and them losing, and then New England won, they're both at 7-6, and of course New England has a tiebreaker because they beat them both times. So now the Jets are the odd team out, and I believe they're the 8th spot. So they'd be the first team out in the playoffs. So they're gonna need Miami to lose, which would give them their 6th loss, and then they're gonna see Miami again. I want to say, is it they got them the last game of the season, and honestly, that can maybe be a game for like who gets the last wild card spot. The way some of this could shape up. I mean, this week they got the Lions, and I mean, yes, the Lions will find ways to lose, but where the Lions are like on a 5-game win streak or something, Jared Goff is playing out of his mind. They're trying to squeak into the playoffs in the NFC. So Salah said all of that, but like I don't know if the Jets make it in. And now you got a banged up Mike White, that's who the team loves, and they look much better playing with him. Throw Zach Wilson back into the mix if they have to. Right now, Mike White is still slated to play this weekend, but hey, I'm not too confident in Salah's confidence of his team being able to see the Bills again. But hey, maybe I'm wrong. Do you think the Jets make the playoffs? Because they got Lions this weekend at home, Jaguars at home, travel to Seattle, and then they finish in Miami.
Ooh. I mean, none of them games are easy. Like you said, Lions are playing out of their mind right now. They playing good football right now. So that last spot might come down to that Miami game. It might come down to that Miami game, I believe. But I don't know, man. It's tough to tell. Because if Zach Wilson come back, man, it's just gonna be, I don't know. It won't. Maybe I don't know. Maybe he's had to sit back and look and see.
You think like he
Okay,
learned these last couple?
maybe he learned. Maybe he learned to come back and say, okay, I see what I did wrong now. I'm a much better football player now. I can admit that I was wrong and stuff like that. But I don't know. It's gonna be very tough, very interesting to see how these last few games playing out and stuff like that. So we're gonna see.
I mean, I feel like Mike White, I give him about 25-30% chance to make it. If Zach Wilson has to come in, I knock that down to like 5 to 10% because it's already hard as is. I really don't see them making it right now. If I had to look at it, Let's see. I mean, yeah, I don't think they can get in because, like I said, they're gonna have to. If their records tie with New England, they're not getting in over New England because the tiebreaker. The Chargers also sit in 7-6, and they're actually I had it wrong. The Chargers are technically in the 8th spot. Jets are in 9, and the Chargers have the Titans, which might be a tough game. But I mean, the way they look this weekend, I think they should handle the Titans, especially with the way the Titans are playing right now. And they got Mike Williams and Keenan Allen back. So I don't think they'll be able to shut them down. The Colts should be a win. Rams should be a win. Broncos should be a win. So the Chargers honestly might run the table and win out. So I don't think they would get in from there. Miami's 8-5. So you would have to have them drop 3 of their last 4 games. Which honestly, the way Miami's looking, it could happen because they got the Bills, then they got the Packers, the Patriots, and the Jets. And that Patriots game is in New England. So that's January 1st. It's probably going to be really cold and possibly snowing in that game too. So I'm not, it's not a for sure thing, but I kind of marked that one down as an L. I think they lose this weekend. So that would put them at 7 losses. So if the Jets could win out and the Jets will play them last, there's still a possibility there. But I think there's also a possibility that maybe the Jets and the Dolphins both end up falling out of the playoff picture. Because the Jets, it's just tougher for them to get in because of tiebreakers. And the Dolphins, I don't know, these last 2 years, they've been a playoff team coming into the final stretch of the season, and then they just lose it. And maybe it has something to do with kind of the weather thing and Tua, but they have not looked good these last 2 weeks. And especially last week is way more concerning. I get 2 weeks ago versus the 49ers. That's the number 1 defense. Kind of expected them to look that bad. But this week, they were facing the Chargers JV defense, basically. No Bosa, no Derwin James. Their defensive line completely banged up. And I think Tua started the game like 3 for 17 or something way back. Their first touchdown wasn't even a real touchdown.
Yes.
It was a fumble by Jeff Wilson and Tyreek. The ball just ended up coming out the pile, and Tyreek just picked it up and ran for like 50 yards and scored. And if he hadn't done that, they were probably going to go into halftime blanked. And Tua would have been like 3 for 17 for like 20 yards, and it would have looked really bad then. And then his numbers only improved. I think he finished like 10 for 28. Yeah, 10 for 28, 145 yards. The last like 4 or 5 of those passes was in that garbage time drive where the Chargers were kind of just playing prevent, and they held him to kicking a field goal, so they had to take the onside sooner. So Tua really only completed singular digit passes if we keep it at a buck. People were trying to say I told you a couple weeks ago, people were trying to throw him into the MVP conversation just for like, I guess, conversation sakes, but it's like, I get it. He putting up good numbers, but that's really Tyreek. You can make an argument as more MVP on that team. And now people, your boy Acho calling Herbert a social media quarterback and had to go publicly apologize this week because Herbert went 39 for 51 and probably played the best game of his career, even though he only threw 1 touchdown, but still, he was making plays all over the field. But yeah, it's crunch time, and it's gonna be exciting the last 4 weeks to watch because there's so much that can unfold in this playoff picture. But yeah, I to go back to the original point, I'm not too confident in Salah and the Jets. But that's not a knock on them. I didn't think they were a playoff team coming in. So the fact that they're even in this position and you got a promising defense, that ain't going nowhere if you want to be honest. Sauce Gardner,
Quentin
Williams, like they got some dogs over there. And then like, hey, you just got to go find a quarterback. But I mean, you could there's plenty of serviceable QBs you can get.
Mm-hmm.
And they have weapons around them. They just don't have to be as bad as Zach Wilson has been, where you got to put training wheels on them and you can't throw any pass above 10 yards. But, hey, we'll see. Bengals, Browns, don't really have to touch on that one. Like we said, Deshaun Watson played horrible. Burrow and them boys, they're picking up steam at the right time. They did lose T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd. some minor injuries. They're both questionable this week. We'll see if they go. They got Tampa. I'm not really too worried about them playing Tampa the way Tampa looks, but if they don't have Tyler Boyd and T. Higgins, it might make it a little bit more difficult, but I still think they can pull out that game. They're only 3-point favorites, so we'll see. But another game I want to touch on, man, I'll just let you talk about this one. Texas Cowboys, man. I thought y'all were going to pull it off, and I'm mad at myself because I accidentally fell asleep at the end of the game, and I just woke up. And so, like, I woke up, and I missed the whole Chiefs' first drive of that game, too. Like, I just ended up, like, I was tired, and I just took, like, a little 30-minute power nap. I woke up, and I was like, what happened? And I see y'all lost. But then I looked at the game chart and seen how y'all lost, and I was like, y'all picked off Dak inside the 10 with 3 minutes left, then didn't score, and then Dak goes on a 98-yard drive. So, yeah, props to Dak for doing that. But, man, this is what I'm talking about in Dallas, man. You know you can't trust them when it comes time to trust them. And this is why I'm saying, like, they're going to match up with the Bucs if the Bucs don't miraculously let the Carolina Panthers come back and win the division, because technically they're still alive. But if they have to travel to Tampa Bay, all it takes is some stupid turnovers from Dak to give Tom Brady a short field, and then you're playing from behind. And next thing you know, the Cowboys are out the playoffs just like that. And you know it's going to be extra pressure when you play in Tom Brady. So they're going to be more inclined to mess up because they're going to have that pressure on themselves like, oh, I got to make this play. I got to make that. And then you get to forcing. But, hey, they put out the win, so props to them. Like, you got to win football games, even if it's ugly. But, man, they should have lost that one. So talk about that one, because your boys, Jeff Driscoll, Davis Mills, they was doing the thing, man.
Before I touch on the Cowboys, I just want to talk about how awful we are as a football team, as a franchise, as a whole. When you playing against a team like the Dallas Cowboys and you have a lead on these guys and you in a dogfight like this and that, you gotta apply pressure. You gotta keep pressure. You gotta keep your foot on these guys' necks. You can't just let up, and that's exactly what we did. Like you said, we picked off Dak. It was a nice interception. I believe Tavir Thomas picked him off or whatever. We right there at the 5-yard line and stuff like that. At running back, we got in Rex Burkhead. we got in Rex Burkhead trying to at the goal line, trying to do like halfback dives, trying to do halfback inside zone, whatever. And it's like, bro, what are we doing? And just like this is like been one of our problems running back wise since like the Aaron Foster and Ben Tate days. We haven't had a good solid running back room since those days, and it's just sad to see because the fans been talking about this, and it's like just change the running back room, like completely just change it. Make sure just get new guys, bring new guys in, be done with Burkhead, be done with Dare, whatever his last name is, whatever. But it's just sad to see, like, why is Rex Burkhead in the game at the 5-yard line and not Damian Pierce? It doesn't make sense. I know he had an ankle injury, that kind of banged him out or whatever, but he was still on the sideline. He was still waiting to get in, and we just didn't put him in. And we ran the football with Rex freaking Burkhead. Like he's not even he's not even a 5 like a goal line running back. That's like what I'm trying to say is like he's not even a goal line running back. So I don't know, that was just awful to see. We out here starting or playing 2 quarterbacks like we the University of Michigan. Got Jeff Driscoll throwing.
But Jeff Driscoll was doing his thing a little bit.
Man.
Didn't y'all move him back down to the practice squad this week too?
Probably so.
I think somebody at work was telling me that, and I was kind of thinking like, I mean, I guess, but at the same time, like he kind of did good, so why not bring back just to throw something different at my Chiefs? It's only that game of film that we would have on him, and y'all throwing in 2 separate QBs. Our defense, you might be able to throw us for a loop, but I think I saw y'all moved him back or something.
I don't know, but it just goes to show we really wanted to win this game because we was doing some stuff that you wouldn't even see the Texans doing, and it was so happened to work, whatever. And I touched up on these Cowboys. I was very big on them, coming in on the game, obviously, because I bet that spread or whatever. I was saying how they, one of the top teams, not only in the NFC but in the NFL right now. Probably one of the Super Bowl favorites at this. Well, going to Super Bowl favorites at this point. At that point, but boy, they did not look good at all. And necessarily, it's not even like it's really not even the whole team. It's just like I've been saying before, it's Dak Prescott. Like he just he's just not making the right read sometimes. Sometimes he's just not throwing the ball like great. Like he's not taking care of the ball as like we know what from the past, as we know we seen Dak done. Like we seen Dak, protect the ball and be good in that in that field or whatever. But yeah, they just I don't know, man. It just like you said, it just goes to show, like, once you play these bad teams like the Texans, you gotta blow these teams out. Like the Bills, when they play against bad teams, they blow teams out. You can't fool around with like just bad teams because at the end of the day, it's still the NFL. Any given Sunday, anybody can win. And now, like, if they do play the Bucks, I said they would easily win. But now, man, I really don't know. Because if they playing like this, I mean, Tony Pollard looking good at least. I mean, at least they got that going. Zeke looking fine, but I mean, other than that, I feel like it really just kind of just is Dak at this point.
Yeah, I mean they signed T.Y. Hilton this week. T.Y. Hilton hasn't played one snap this year. He used to be a really good receiver for the Colts back in the Andrew Luck days. Then he been injury riddled the past probably 2-3 years, so you ain't really heard much about him, and that's the reason he hasn't played a snap this year because he's just been a free agent. But Jared liked to go the cheat route. I'm sure Odell, with his health and his probably asking price, Jerry probably wasn't too fond of all that. So in the Jerry Jones fashion, he goes out and gets same player, cheaper payroll. And he still said, like, oh, Odell Beckham Jr. might still be an option for the playoffs, but it's like, Jerry, we know you're not gonna come up off that check, especially if he's not playing until then. But yeah, man, Dak, that was also another talking point this week. Was they asked him, are you kind of upset with Dak? Like, is he being too aggressive? Because he's I think he's thrown like turned the ball over like 8 times now since he's been back, like a turnover every game. Jerry Jones kind of gave like one of them fake answers, like, well, I mean, I want him to be aggressive, just aggressive without the turnovers. But it's like, obviously, Dak isn't finding that balance right now. CD didn't really have a good game. I mean, I don't know if that's more on Dak too or how y'all were playing coverage on him. But yeah, man, that's what I'm saying. Like, people be like, oh, you hating on the Cowboys. And it's like, no. Like, this is what I mean. Like, yes, the Bucks are really bad this year, and y'all should beat them with no problems. But knowing y'all, it would be a game. And if you make it a game for Tom Brady in the end, 9 times out of 10, if not 10 times out of 10, Tom Brady's going to find a way to win the game. And it's probably going to be some type of call at the end of the game that it's not going your way. It's going in Tom's favor. So if you let bad teams hang around and then you let a bad team like Tampa hang around with Tom Brady, you might be going home early, and then this whole year is literally a waste. Because this is a year they have to capitalize, and it just keeps becoming more prominent. San Francisco just lost Debo, and like they're saying, oh, Debo will be back, but Debo literally has a high ankle sprain and an MCL sprain. I don't care what anybody says. Debo is not coming back the same Debo, and he will not be the same Debo for the rest of this year. You don't just come back from those injuries. High ankle sprain, usually, honestly, a high ankle sprain probably takes to like fully heal, takes 2 to 3 months. And pair that with the MCL sprain, Debo will not be his same self. Obviously, they'll have to deal with that 49ers defense if they were to see them. But Debo is one less weapon, and they have a third-string quarterback in Brock Purdy, who he's looked great. He looked amazing this weekend. But still, third-string quarterback with one less weapon, you got to capitalize on that. The Eagles, they look great. I'm sure that's part of the reason too. Dallas kind of overlooking teams because they're so focused on that Christmas Eve game in 2 weeks now. And I still think they'll win that game. But then with their seeding, because I don't think Philly will lose again, they'll still get the first seed. They're gonna have to go back to Philly the divisional round game. I don't see them beating Philly in the divisional round playoff game if they make it past the Bucks. So, yeah, man, I low key wanted y'all to upset them just to because I know that would have been funny on Twitter, especially Houston talking smack like we won it. We were 1-10 and we beat y'all like y'all supposed to be Super Bowl contenders. That would have been crazy. But yeah, they ended up squeaking out a win. Props to Dak. He put it together a game winning drive, but they should have never been in that situation. And this week they got the Jaguars, who it's kind of scary because you literally don't know what you're getting with the Jaguars. Last week they looked great. Other weeks they looked terrible. But it's Trevor Lawrence. And some tells me, because it's the Cowboys, they'll probably play kind of like what they did last week. And if Dallas comes out like a daisical, they could drop this game. Especially if they are, like I said, looking ahead to the Eagles. So I don't know, Cowboys fans. It sucks because you have to capitalize on this year. Micah Parsons, Diggs, still on rookie contract. You're going to have to pay one of them this offseason. Probably going to have to let go of Zeke this offseason. And that means you'll probably have to pay Tony. Going to have to pay CD. This why, you have to capitalize on the years, like I said, because once these contracts start coming up for star players, you can't keep the whole roster together. That's just how it works. You see, my Chiefs had to get rid of Tyreek this year. And Tyreek just went on Shannon Sharp's podcast earlier this week and was still saying some BS, talking about he was getting 2-3 targets a game. And I'll touch on that later. But, you're going to have to lose key pieces once contracts are coming into play because the cap hit, the NFL, not like the NBA and MLB. Money is limited. Even though it technically shouldn't be, but these owners cheap. And you got Jerry Jones. So this team will not be together again after this year. So they better capitalize, but it's looking really rough for them to capitalize as of right now. Next game I wanted to touch on Vikings Lions. Because like you said earlier, Lions are going crazy. And they went so crazy this weekend, it's not even getting talked about. Justin Jefferson had 223 receiving yards. And it's not even a topic. Did you even know that?
I didn't know that at all.
He had one of the best wide receiver games all season. And it didn't get a peep because the Lions went in there and whooped Minnesota. And it was kind of crazy because I think the Lions coming out was they were 2-point favorites coming into the game. People were like, wow, Minnesota's an underdog and they're 10-2. But no, the Vegas, they had it right. Lions handled their business, a divisional win. So if they win out, they have a real opportunity to squeak in. Because I know for sure the Giants and Commanders both aren't going to make it in. And I'm thinking they play again this week. So one of them is going to fall out unless they tie again. Bro, that would be crazy if they tied twice. That would be the first time in history.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so, but one of them should lose that game, hopefully. And that's going to open up a spot. And then technically Detroit will still be one game back if they win this week, but I think the Giants still got to play the Eagles one more time if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, they got to play the Eagles at the end of the season, which might work in their favor because maybe the Eagles don't have to play that week and they choose the rest players. So maybe that won't work. But they got to play the Vikings after this week and then the Colts. The Vikings, that'll probably be their make it or break it for their season. They will have to win that game, especially if they lose this one this week. But there's definitely a way for the Lions to, squeak into the playoffs. And for them, Jets this week, that's a winnable game. Panthers look really good right now too. And surprisingly, there's a way they could, if they went out, they would be the NFC South champ, funny enough. But I don't see them doing that. I think the Lions can beat them. They got the Bears, divisional game, but it's at home. Gonna be tough, and then they end the season at Green Bay. Depending on how the rest of Green Bay season goes, that will kind of pin if that game's tough. But all 4 of those games are winnable for Detroit. Because Detroit's gonna make it a game. It's just a matter if they're gonna lose it at the end or not and be Detroit. You think Detroit makes the playoffs, or it's
I
all
mean,
fool's gold?
looking at their last couple of games, man, they look like they can. It definitely look like they can. I think they might be able to pull it off and do it. Like I said before, man, this Lions team is very, very grimy. They finally got everybody back healthy now. Swift is back. Ross St. Brown, he's back. Everybody's back healthy. Jared Goff, he got his weapons back. He's looking very good now. So I mean, it's a possibility that they can get one of those spots. So I mean, these next couple of games, it's gonna be in the NFL. It's gonna be very, very, very
Yeah,
nice.
yeah. It's
Very good
essentially
football.
it's essentially playoff time, folks.
Yeah, for sure.
Everybody's. I mean, there's. I think us, the Eagles have already sealed their spot. The Bills, technically, they've really sealed their spot, but technically they could still fall out because their division is so good right now. But the Bills are 99% locked to be in the playoffs. But other than that, everything is still up in the air for every other team, so to speak, mathematically speaking, I guess. Yeah, man, I think the Lions might be able to find their way in there. I think they finally found the groove. And I mean, shoot, if nothing else this week, I hope Amon St. Rob Brown go for 2 touchdowns because
Yeah.
it's fantasy playoffs. If y'all keep up with us, remember to start the season, we told y'all we're in a fantasy league with a couple other podcasters, and I think it's like a $600 pot or something like that. And we made the playoff bracket, and right now, literally, our matchup, it says it's 50% both ways for either us or the other guy to win. So, I mean, it's a coin flip, but I think we could do it. And we have the team to go win. It's just we need our players, obviously, to play their best. The only place we really lack is a running back 2 and a tight end because we got Darren Waller. And Darren Waller would rather be making rap videos on IR instead of playing as of right now.
Talking about
Turf, yeah, come on, like, yeah, that's part of the other. Yeah, Vegas, it's gonna be a wild off season in Vegas. They got a lot to figure out. But yeah, man, I think the Lions. If nothing else, I think their last game of the season will also be deciding if they can make it or not. But they right there. So I'm excited to see that play out. Minnesota. I mean, kind of like we kind of thought this and kind of said this throughout the season. Like, yeah, they're winning games, but do you really believe in them at the end of the day? And it's not even necessarily. This game wasn't even necessarily on Kirk. Kirk threw for like 425 yards, I think, 2 touchdowns. Kirk played a great game. Minnesota's defense is dog water as well. And when you combine that in the playoffs with Kirk Cousins in prime time, you really can't trust these guys at all. What sucks for like Justin Jefferson? That's one of my favorite players to watch. Like, dude is a dog. Like I said, 11 receptions, 223 yards this week. Not even talked about because they got whooped. And it never really was a game. Final score was 23-34. The closest they ever had it was 7-7. And then from that point on, Detroit won the rest of the game. And at one point, they were up 21-7. They were up 31-16. And then Minnesota had a chance at the end, 23-31, but then they ran that play where they threw it to Penei Sewell, the lineman.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Killed the game and then kicked a field goal just to put the stamp on it. 34-23, Lions whoop up on them. So, yeah, man. And the crazy thing is, because the way the division goes, I mean, maybe Minnesota drops a couple more games and San Francisco, depending on how they fare, they could get the second place spot. But I would think Minnesota holds on to it. I'm not too sure. Let's look at their schedule. They got the Colts this weekend at home. They should win that game. If they don't, woo.
Yeah.
Then they got the Giants. That's going to be a big game. At the Packers, another big game. At the Bears to end the season. So they definitely could drop some more games. So San Francisco could get second. But say they Minnesota get second and Detroit squeaks in, it would be as a 7th seed. And then they would be playing each other again. And I think Detroit would probably win that game in the playoffs too, which would be funny. But who knows? You think Minnesota is an automatic first round loss in the playoffs, or does it just depend on the matchup? Is there a certain matchup you think they could win? Or are you just not taking, are you not putting any faith in them at all in the first round whatsoever?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a certain matchup they can win. Like if they match up with like the Giants or like the Commanders, yeah, I think they can win those type games. But anybody else, I think they're getting washed.
Mhm. That's fair. That's fair. Shoot, the way they looking, like I would think they can win against the Giants and Commanders if that's who it is, but I wouldn't put over 70% confidence in it. It'd more be
No,
like 60-40 at this point. It may be even lower depending on how the season ends. So who knows? Who knows? Next up, Eagles, Giants, man. Giants, like we said, I think the Giants, for the Giants case, it's more of the reality of who they actually are. It's just coming out now. They couldn't keep up what they were doing in the season. Like that wasn't gonna be a recipe for success throughout the whole season. Saquon has now rushed for under 70 yards, I think, the last like 5 games or so. So obviously, team stacking the box. They have nobody to throw to. Excuse me. Daniel Jones is still up in the air whether or not he's really quarterback one. I don't think they make the playoffs for sure. I think they lose this weekend, which will put them even further back in the division. And at that point, they would have to hope Washington loses like 2-3 more games so they could get back in, because then they'll lose the tiebreaker to literally everybody in the division. But on the flip side, man, the Eagles look great. They're firing on all cylinders. We'll talk about my Chiefs next. Why part of this is kind of true. Jalen Hurts, another good game. I mean, it wasn't anything like too special, but like they're blowing teams out. I think they're now they have the highest points per game in the league, number one scoring team in the league. He threw for 217, 2 touchdowns, rushed for another 77, another touchdown. So I mean, he's literally the definition of a dual threat quarterback. He's having a great season, MVP season. I still wouldn't say this is better than Lamar Jackson's 2019 MVP season, because he was literally leading the league in passing touchdowns and QBR and all of that the year he did it while rushing, but it's damn near up there with it and very similar. So yeah, you think how you scared? Because I mean, it's very rare that the number one seed in the regular season wins the Super Bowl, let alone makes it to the Super Bowl. But it's looking like the Eagles are kind of headed for a 16-1, maybe 15-2 if Dallas gets them finished. But then it's like it's kind of a lot of pressure come playoff time. They didn't obviously this is a whole different team from last year, but last year the one playoff game they had versus Tampa Bay, they looked absolutely horrible. Jalen Hurts looked absolutely horrible. So I'm sure they're itching to, avenge that game. But you think, they run the table here, finish 16-1 or 15-2. Think there's some added pressure for them to perform in the playoffs because they're the number one team. And do you think they can live up to it?
I think it definitely will be, some type of pressure because, they got best record in the NFL or whatever. I think they can live up to it. And I think why they can because of Jalen Hurts. Me personally, I think he's the MVP favorite right now. You just look what he's doing.
Oh, he is by Vegas odds now. He's a favorite.
If you just look what he's doing right now, I mean, this man has 10 rushing touchdowns with like 22 passing touchdowns, and we still have like 4 games left. So, at this point, he's stat padding his passing touchdowns for sure to to try to probably get to like 30 or something like that. So just having 10 rushing touchdowns is kind of crazy because Lamar hasn't even done that like ever in his his career. But I think they can do it just because of Jalen Hurts. It's just it's kind of crazy, like just watching him play and like watching him play from like his like even when he was in like I said this before, even when he was at Oklahoma or Alabama, he just gets better every single year. And this year, he's so much better than last year. Even in that like that Bucks game when we seen him play, he looked very awful and stuff like that. This year we play the Bucks. I think he's gonna play if they do play the Bucks. I think he's gonna play lights out, man. Like just like if you actually like just watch like sit there and like watch Philly play and like watch Jalen Hurts play, he's just so smart and he looks through all his progressions and stuff like that. Looks at his first read, looks at his second read. If nothing there, it's like he gonna take off and you can't always put a QB spot on him because he's a good passer too. He's got better with his passing over the years too. But it's just you can just tell it's just a different Jalen Hurts this year. Like it's a different him this year, and I can't wait for the playoffs, man. Because I think he's gonna show up. He's gonna show out. They're gonna be a very, very, very hard team to definitely beat. I think it's like I said before. There's three teams in the NFC, top three teams. You got the Eagles, you got 49ers, and you still got Dallas there. So them three teams, can definitely make out of there. I would say the top two right now is obviously 49ers and Eagles. But I'm sorry, man. If it's down to 49ers and the Eagles, I'm taking the Eagles, man. I'm all in on Eagles.
I would love to see that matchup because that's number one defense versus number one offense.
Man,
that would
amazing.
definitely be interesting to see if they would have the answers to stop him. Because I mean, it's also been said a lot this year. The Eagles played a fairly weak schedule, which is somewhat true. But I mean, it's not like they could control what schedule they're playing. They could just go out there and play. But yeah, man, they're on a roll right now, literally blowing teams out, scoring 30, 40 plus points a game. Like you said, Jalen's doing his thing. Can't hate on that. Houston kid, like I'm rooting for him. But I will say when I forgot to add too, another added like pressure thing. I want to say it's the last time an MVP won the Super Bowl the same year he won regular season MVP. I think it was like Kurt Warner back with the Rams. What was that like?
Yeah.
2000 or something like that?
Around that time, yeah.
Or 99. Like so that will also be an added thing because he is the MVP favorite, number one team. It's just like, ooh, like, yes, that's great. Y'all had a great year, no knock on that. But it's like history says those teams usually don't fare well come playoff time. So that would also be interesting to see if he could, break those stigmas or not even stigmas. I mean, that's what's happened. See if he could, alter history a little bit there. But what were you about to say?
I just want to say I can't wait till he played the Dallas Cowboys.
Oh yeah.
It's just like for Micah Parsons. Okay.
Oh yeah, what he said.
Yeah. Okay. Honestly, this is a free world. You can say whatever you want. Who is me? Who is you? Who is anyone to tell Michael Parsons shut up and dribble, shut up and don't say nothing. Obviously, you can say whatever you want, but why would you want to put more to throw more fire under this Eagles team when like there's a lot of people saying Philly probably gonna lose in the playoffs or something like that. Like they don't take Philly as serious. But it's like, why give them even more fire? And you still gotta play these guys, and you probably might have to see them in the playoffs. Yeah, playoffs too. So why even give this man even more put more fire on his butt or whatever. And with Jalen Hurts, like he just he's been doubted pretty much. I believe like his whole career pretty much, and I don't know, man. It's just crazy. I don't know why Michael Parsons would say that. It's just it's nonsense. I get what he was trying to say. It's the system that Jalen Hurts, it's a great system. They got one of the best O lines in the league. They added AJ Brown. He got weapons. Defense is good and stuff like that. But me personally, put Nick Foles on that team. I don't think Nick Foles could do what Jalen Hurts is doing right now. I think only Jalen Hurts and obviously a few other more quarterbacks in the league can do what Jalen Hurts is doing this year and have Philly playing like the best team in the league. God, I mean, So other than that, Jalen Hurts, he fits that system. He's playing well. I think it's time for us to just show him some respect.
Oh, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah. And hey, like I said, I don't think they literally made that offense. They tailored it to him
To him,
last year.
yes.
Last year he showed enough promise for them to say, "Hey, let's try to build because we think we got our guy," even though it was still up in the air. Like, is this a franchise guy? But they went out, got him some better pieces like AJ Brown. That offensive line is the number one line in the league right now. And for him, because it's like I said, it's just not his passing. So there isn't a lot of quarterbacks that could go replicate what he's doing. Because part of what makes that Eagles team so successful is his running.
He's running, yeah.
And I mean, Lamar, maybe, yeah. But I mean, they run some of the same stuff, but they run Jalen Hurts a lot in the red zone, like a Cam Newton type, and that's not Lamar. I mean, Josh Allen, probably the closest thing. Like Jalen Hurts kind of having the season people thought Josh Allen was gonna have.
Yeah.
And I get part of that might be now because he's injured, but at the same time, Allen fell off. It had that stretch where he had like 6 interceptions in 3 games or whatever it was. And Jalen Hurt, like he's literally been consistent, and he hasn't had a bad game all year, which also works in his favor for MVP. So yeah, can't knock it. I hate it for my guy Patrick Mahomes, which I'm finna talk about, but yeah, that Eagles team is scary. It would just be interesting if they finish 16-1, he gets MVP, and then they have it would be a tough ass game versus the Cowboys either way it goes, if it's them or the Bucks. If they coming off a week of rest, sometimes people come off the bye and they're real rusty in the playoffs. It'd be very interesting to see. But yeah, I think they run the tables. I do think I don't think they lose bad to Dallas, but I think Dallas gets them unless Dak will be the sole person on that game if Dak screws it up. But as long as Dak plays a solid game, I think that defense will be hyped up and they're at home. And I don't think Jalen's won there yet. But I think they'll win that one. But then, like I said, they see him again in the playoffs. I think Philly handles them. And I would suspect they go to the conference championship versus San Francisco. And that would be in Philly. I really don't know what that one. That was a toss-up because that defense is just so nice. And Brock Purdy, I mean, obviously is only his second game, but he looks honestly like the best QB San Francisco done had this whole time since they made it to the Super Bowl back in 19. Like, I mean, we still really don't know what Trey Lance looked like, but as far as Jimmy goes, he's better than Jimmy Garoppolo.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, man. Who knows? But yeah, I'm rooting for that Eagles 49ers matchup. I would love to see that for sure. And I know the Cowboys fans, they probably want their leg back on the 49ers after last year, but I don't know if they'll get that opportunity because they would more than likely have to see them in the NFC Championship, which means going through Philly. Who knows? Who knows? Like I said, man, we're gonna get into my Chiefs Broncos. Like I said, we sold us on the spread, up 27-0. Mahomes threw 3 interceptions. So yeah, he lost the MVP, but at the same time, man, I just want people to realize what we're kind of doing to this man, Patrick Mahomes, man. He is literally like, there's quarterbacks and what you expect, and then there's Mahomes.
Yeah.
And Mahomes' bad games are like right here. People are like, oh, he played terrible. But it's still above the rest of the quarterbacks. Like there was some article this week. I forgot who wrote it. It was Bill something. But he wrote Hurts literally had Mahomesian like plays. It's like that's why he's the MVP. And it's like you realize you just compared him to a current player who's also was the MVP favorite before this week and said he had Mahomesian like plays. But the guy who's making Mahomes himself is not the MVP. And granted, yes, he did throw 3 interceptions. One of those, he said he was trying to dirt it, and Surtain just made a great play, got up under it, and popped it up to himself. So props to him. And then the other 2 interceptions, I forgot the linebacker's name, But he was making catches like a wide receiver. Like he literally snatched them out the air. It wasn't no like interception where he threw it straight to him. The linebacker sunk back in coverage and just snatched it. But even with his 3 interceptions, y'all realize this man Patrick Mahomes had 352 passing yards and 3 touchdowns versus the Broncos defense, which is a top 3 scoring defense in the league this year. Because remember, if the Broncos could just score 18 points or more, they would be the number 1 seed or the number 1 team in the NFL at this point, the way their defense have been playing. And it's just another one of those games. Mahomes threw 3 interceptions. He looked like trash. It's like, did you really watch the game though? Like, yeah, he had those 3 bad picks. But other than that, they moved the ball up and down with ease. He had the crazy MVP-like play where he's running it to the sideline. He's going to try to get the first. Then Justin Simmons steps up and he's like, oh, well, you know what? He just came off McKinnon. Why don't I just no-look, shovel it like this? And the shovel was a spiral itself. McKinnon goes up the sideline for a touchdown. Then, oh, yeah, I played bad. I got 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. The game is on the brink of the Broncos coming back. Drives us right back down the field. 3rd and goal, which was honestly it got overshadowed because of the crazy toss to McKinnon. But 3rd and goal, everybody's covered. He runs in a circle. Schuster comes open, and as he throws the ball, he gets hit by 4 defenders at one time. Touchdown, and that iced the game essentially. And it's like we become so normalized to what Patrick Mahomes is doing. It's like, yeah, he has 11 interceptions now, so Jalen Hurts has a better interception ratio. But as well as Jalen Hurts has been playing, do you know when you take their stats, because since Jalen Hurts is a dual threat quarterback, everybody's like, include his rushing stats, like do this, do that. And so I've been seeing people argue that like, you're not adding Jalen Hurts rushing stats when you compare him to Mahomes. It's like, no, you are. Jalen Hurts has 32 total touchdowns, 22 passing, 10 rushing. He has 3,800 yards total, 31 passing, 700 rushing. Mahomes has 33 passing touchdowns, 4,100 passing yards, and the number 1 QBR in the league. And he's faced 3 top defenses this year, or top 3 defenses at the point he played them. The Bucs earlier in the year when they were number 1, San Francisco when they first got number 1, and then the Broncos this week. He's put up 40 plus on the Bucs and 49ers, and now 30 plus on the Broncos. And then people will say, oh, but he lost to the Bills, and he lost to the Bengals, and they lost to the Colts. Like you said, it's any given Sunday. None of those games Mahomes lost. The one you could argue where he lost is maybe the Bills because he threw a red zone interception in the first quarter. But the Chiefs are winning that game up until the last 90 seconds, and Josh Allen scored a touchdown. The Colts game, which was the weirdest game ever, special teams completely sold us. Sky Moore muffs the punt to start the game after getting them 3 and out off rip. We missed like 2 field goals. Then they ran that dumbass fake field goal. Then Chris Jones technically sealed the game with a sack, gets called for a phantom, what's it called? Unsportsmanlike conduct because he said something mean to Matt Ryan. They go down and score a touchdown and win that game. Then the Bengals game, Travis Kelce doesn't fumble. We low-key probably win that one. And I know that's 3 what-ifs, and it didn't happen, but I'm like, bruh, this man is really putting together an MVP season in a year where, oh, Mahomes is going to fall off. He's not going to be the MVP. The Chiefs might not even make the playoffs. Mahomes not even the best quarterback in his own division. Herbert is better than him. Russell came over. Russell and the Broncos are going to beat them. And now it's to the point where, yeah, the Chiefs are about to win the AFC West for the 8th year in a row. They're 10-3. Could be the first seed in the AFC again. So what? We knew they would be here. Like, come on now. No, y'all didn't. I literally thought this would be his worst year yet.
Yeah.
And he's defied all odds once again. And now it's like, oh, well, Travis Kelce is a Hall of Famer. Like, do good quarterbacks not have good weapons around them? Like, what are we saying here? Like, y'all can't just keep moving the goalposts on this guy. And it's like, he's getting, like we've said before, he's kind of getting LeBron treatment. And he's 5 years in.
Yeah.
Like, it's
Crazy.
kind of crazy to think about. Like, y'all really just gonna downplay. We're watching greatness right now, and hopefully, it'll end in a Super Bowl, because for him to get the credit, it will have to be that, because people are haters, and even then, the people will still be haters. But I really hope we win the Super Bowl this year, and he has an amazing playoff run just to shut people up. And it might not end in an MVP, and I'm not necessarily mad at that, because Jalen Hurts has been great, so I wouldn't mind if he gets it. But Patrick Mahomes is having an MVP season, and if he wasn't our quarterback, we would probably be 3-10 rather than 10-3 this year, on all honesty, because our defense isn't good. Once again, that's another thing. In Mahomes' career, he's never had an average defense but 1 year. I'm not even talking about top 10 defense. I'm talking about league average, 16 in the middle. You want to know what the year we had an average defense was? The year we won the Super Bowl. Other than that, Mahomes has been playing with bottom of the league defenses every year, and we've made the AFC Championship every year. And people are like, wow, it's man, it's Andy Reid, it's this, it's that. Like I said time and time again, nobody gave the Chiefs any type of credit before Mahomes got here, because we didn't deserve it. We weren't doing anything. We were some of the biggest chokers ever with Andy Reid, who, yes, he's all-time great now, and he gets that respect now. But before we won that Super Bowl, Andy Reid was known as probably the biggest choker of head coaches of all time, and he couldn't manage the clock well. And now with Mahomes, it's like, they're supposed to do that. He's not, it's not that special. Like, no, this is special. Mahomes is probably going to throw anywhere between 5,200, 5,500 passing yards. And with 4 games left at 33 passing touchdowns, if he just throws 2 a game, that'll put him at over 40 passing touchdowns. 40 touchdowns, 5,000 yards. He'll probably still run some more yards. Might even run a touchdown in. Who knows if he has to. Those are crazy numbers. And since, we got to add Jalen's rushing stats, when you add Patrick Mahomes' rushing stats, he's at 4,400 total yards, and then he's at 35 total touchdowns. So it's still not that much more, but still, like I said, you put Jalen's total stats in, Mahomes' passing numbers are still better as of right now. So it's like, what are we really doing here? Like, don't get it twisted. Like, this shit is MVP level play, and he's not really getting credit because we lost to the Bengals last week. This week, they let the Broncos hang around, and it was partially because of his interceptions. But, like, how many quarterbacks throw 3 interceptions and still throw 3 touchdowns and win a game?
Not many.
If a quarterback throws 3 interceptions, they more than likely get blown out by 20 points.
Yeah.
But with Mahomes, it's like, yeah, I threw 3 interceptions, but I also threw 3 touchdowns and threw 350 yards. And I had 2 play of the year contending plays in that game. And that one to McKinnon, honestly, that probably is play of the year. And if not, that one from the Buccaneers game where he flipped it to Clyde, that probably, like, he literally probably has the 2 best plays this year. But just saying, man, people just gonna not witness greatness and just gonna hate forever. And it's like, bro, sometimes y'all just need to sit back and be fans and just realize what you're getting to see, because this shit is not regular whatsoever. Yeah. But yeah, man, he'll never get the credit he deserves. But yeah, man, like I said, I hope we're able to win it this year, just so he can kind of shut everybody up. Because, I mean, really, there's nothing anybody realistically can say anymore. But if we win this year without Tyreek and all the BS they spewed this offseason, it's like, it's solidified. He's first ballot Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And you can't say anything. So, yeah, man, like I said, a lot of season left to play out, 4 weeks left and then playoffs. But yeah, man, like I'm saying, just, it's greatness. Like, Jalen Hurts, best player on the best team, so I get it. But at the same time, Eagles are 12-1, the Chiefs are 10-3. It's not that big of a difference. It's not like, the Eagles are winning way more than the Chiefs. Like, no, the Chiefs still might finish first place in the AFC. They have 10 wins. Mahomes has all better numbers. But because, the Eagles got 12 wins and Jalen Hurts has less interceptions, it's like, that's the argument people are making right now, and it's like, is that what we've come to for real? I mean, hey, it is what it is, man. But yeah, the last two games I want to touch on: Bucks 49ers, Dolphins Chargers. 49ers. Ooh. Honestly, should have made that the max bet.
Yeah.
Because I was very confident they were gonna win by 3. But I didn't think they would blow them out this bad. They, to put it in simplest terms, they whooped the shit out of Tampa Bay. And man, Brock Purdy, let the 49ers go on a Super Bowl run. He might. I mean, I don't know what Shanahan thinks because obviously Trey Lance is his guy. That was his call for them to trade up and go get him. I mean, if Brock Purdy lead them to a Super Bowl, I think it's kind of Brock Purdy team, like we were saying last week. And obviously Debo that's gonna be a big loss for them, but they got Seattle tomorrow, Thursday night, Commanders at home, Raiders, Cardinals. They shouldn't lose for the rest of the season, I don't think.
Mm-hmm.
With that defense, and Brock Purdy just has to do enough. Man. I know you said you think the Eagles would get them if they played each other. But I mean, if say like maybe say the Eagles lose in the divisional and they get the Cowboys. You think the 49ers, I'm pretty sure I know, but you think the 49ers beat the Cowboys, huh?
Yeah, for sure. I think so.
Then you think they win in the Super Bowl? Because we got the top 3 in the NFC: Eagles, Cowboys, 49ers. In the AFC, it's us, the Bills, and the Bengals. You think do you think the 49ers beat all 3 of us in the AFC for the Super Bowl, or is there like a certain matchup you think they lose, or how would you think, like, if they had to play either 3 of those teams in the AFC in the Super Bowl, how they would fare out?
I think they can beat the Bills. It'll be close games versus y'all and the Bengals. I would think it'll be a close game versus y'all and the Bengals. Cause it's like with both of y'all give them y'all and the Bengals, y'all give them matchup problems when it comes to like the offensive side of the ball. I mean, they're not really on NFC side, they're not really playing offenses like, like the Bengals or like the Chiefs offense like that. I know also they play Chiefs in the regular season, but they're not, in the NFC, it's not those type of offenses pretty much. But yeah, I think y'all and the Bengals will give them a much harder time. I think it'll come down to, last job will probably be like a Patrick Mahomes type drive at the end, or a Joe Burrow type drive at the end to win the game or seal the game, whatever. So yeah, I think it's out of I think those two teams.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah, man. Honestly, I mean, I know we have their number, but they're kind of the last team I want to see in the Super Bowl. Like, I don't want to see the Bengals in the playoffs, but we probably will. And if we make it to Super Bowl, I don't want to see the 49ers again because we beat them twice. That third time is always the hardest. And that defense is so cold. And their running game with McCaffrey now is picked up. We definitely, Shanahan would run the ball down our throats if he's smart because it would work. But yeah, they're the last team I want to see in the Super Bowl. They are really cold. Like, from like them and the Eagles. I was watching First Things First earlier. Nick Wright does his little tiers, and for their tier, he had a tier called GM of the Year. It was them and the Eagles, Howie Roseman and Lynch for the 49ers, because they literally have the 2 best 53-man rosters in the league. It's talent everywhere in all 3 phases of the game. And literally 49ers are so good they were winning with Jimmy G, winning now with Brock Purdy. Like, it kind of don't matter as long as the QB is serviceable. That defense is going to keep you in the game, and then they got the weapons on offense to close out the game. And they play smash mouth football, and they probably got the best lineman in football and left tackle Trent Williams. So, yeah, man, they are a scary matchup. Like I said, I want to see the Eagles versus them just to see how Jalen Hurts will fare, but he would have his work cut out for him for sure. I don't know. D'Amico Ryan's got them boys playing for real. So
It's a head coach candidate right there.
yeah. Now, will he get it? I don't know. We'll see. Rooney Rule. We'll get an interview. I don't know, man. Is he a good coach? The 49ers defense had a lot of talent. Like, you know how that goes. We'll see. We'll see. And then, like I said, last game I wanted to touch on, Dolphins Chargers, man. Woo! Now, this is also one team I don't want to see in the playoffs. The Chargers. They're our worst matchup because they're a division opponent who knows us very well. And every time we play them, it's a close-ass game. And it can easily go the other way. We beat them twice already this season. Third time. I don't want to see them for a third time in the playoffs. And luckily, the Patriots won this week. Sadly, that probably in part because Kyler tore his ACL the third play of the game, which really sucks. But at least he got paid before this. But Patriots took the 7th seed spot with their win. But if up until that point, the Chargers were in the 7th spot. And we're currently at the 2. We got to see the Chargers first round of the playoffs. Oh, my God. I'm going to be nervous as hell. Because they're getting healthy. I'm going to assume they would have Bosa back by the playoffs. I think he honestly might be coming back this week. Derwin James, obviously, Travis Kelce had a great game last time we played them, but Derwin James still gives him problems. Khalil Mack is still there. Justin Herbert now has Mike Williams and Keenan Allen back. Mike Williams literally gives our corners nightmares. Like, they looked like the Chargers we thought they would be this past week, but that was with the JV defense, like I said. Whereas on the flip side, 2 of them boys looked horrible. So you think Miami is figured out for real, and do you think the Chargers low-key might be able to make a Cinderella run? Or do you think they still have the possibility of charging it up and maybe screwing themselves somehow, someway? Because honestly, one of my coworkers is a Chargers fan, and he was saying, like, obviously he's happy that they're back winning, but at the same time he kind of wants them to lose because he thinks this might mess up them getting Sean Payton and they'll mess around and keep Staley.
I don't see them keeping Staley at all, but who knows? I think Chargers gonna charge you at the end of the day. It's gonna be like that, probably that last game versus Broncos or something like that. They gonna end up, Russ Wilson gonna have a game of his life or whatever, and end up beating them or something crazy like that. But yeah, I think the Chargers was, they'll still charge you at the end of the day. But man, these Dolphins, man, they are frauds, complete frauds. Tua, he's a fraud. I was very big on them. I still love their coach McDaniels. I still think he's
He's a cool ass coach.
He's a cool ass coach. He's an excellent coach. That offense is amazing. In my opinion, the offense is amazing. I think it just can't be done with Tua, but I think they're gonna have to keep Tua for now. I don't know what they would want to do with him, because I don't know if they can move him or not. Or
I don't know, but I mean, we're talking about Tom Brady trades, but I want to say, isn't Tom Brady a free agent technically this offseason?
I think he is.
Oh my God. He's gonna go to Miami.
You think so? Imagine.
It's either that or San Francisco, because he's gonna be 46. He's gonna go somewhere where there's weapons and it's easy. The last thing I want to see is him throwing to Tyreek and Jalen Waddle, bro.
And 2 beautiful, beautiful cities also.
Yeah.
San Francisco and Miami.
He can't keep getting away.
He can just cruise off after like a year or two, just cruise off. But oh my God, imagine him in Miami in that offense with Waddle and Reek. Ooh,
I don't even want to think about it. Oh man. Yeah, you think Miami big frauds? So.
I think they big frauds. I think they big frauds. They still might have a chance to make the playoffs, believe it or not. But it's crazy how
they should. They would literally have to have, like I said, they fall off at the end of the year. They would have to have one of the worst collapses to not make the playoffs. But with their schedule, it's more than possible. So I don't know.
It'll be interesting.
It'll be interesting for sure. Because, like I said, you think they lose this week versus the Bills, which is a Saturday night game. There's 3 games on Saturday this weekend, actually. Then they got the Packers at home. Really don't know what's up with the Packers. They're still technically live, and Aaron Rodgers wants to play. They're coming off a bye week this week. But Jordan Love just now said, I guess there's rumors that if Aaron Rodgers is going to stay, he wants to get traded out of there.
Dang.
I don't know. That could be a tough game, but then the Patriots at New England and then at the Jets. So they could definitely easily lose 3 out of these next 4 games, I think. Maybe 4 of 4, depending on how the Packers come. They lose the next 4 games, they would finish 8-9. And that's definitely not making the playoffs.
That's not making it. Yeah.
That would be so tragic. And then, oh Lord. Well, I would love to see what the headlines are and what media is saying that. Because remember, up until these last 2 weeks, media was on Tua nuts big time. And then especially after that Bills game earlier in the season when they won, Miami fans were going crazy, like talking the most shit to Buffalo fans. Like, yeah, y'all like y'all thought Tua was bad. Like, you see what happens now that he got weapons. Like, he's a great quarterback. And if they got to go back on all that stuff they said, ooh. Now you remember there was that video that went viral, that Miami fan that was cussing out that old man after the game, like walking out the stadium. It's like people like that. It's like, "Ooh, you look real stupid if Miami falls off once again." And then honestly, because the last 2 years they blamed it on Brian Flores, they fall off this year with McDaniel and these weapons. Kind of got a point at Tua.
I don't know if you probably know, but they are really, really big. Like the fans, they really, really big on Tua. Like they love Tua.
They think he's
like a lot.
I mean, after this weekend, they can't really make the argument anymore, but they were saying he's better than Herbert. They drafted Tua 1 pick before Herbert got taken, and they've been saying, "Oh, this is the right pick. Tua's a winner." Obviously, look at their records. It's like, we all know the eye test tells you Herbert is a way better quarterback. But this weekend, it kind of opened their eyes up a little bit, and now a lot of them are hush mouth for the time being. So, yeah, I know they love Tua, but if Tua don't get it together these last 4 games, and I don't know if necessarily they have to win a playoff game this year, but you better make it tough if they do make it to the playoffs. If they lose, it better be close.
Yeah.
Because if not, maybe somebody like Tom Brady does step in. Because they already got their GM got suspended this year for being in contact with Brady. And they said it was for ownership. He was talking about possible ownership when he retires, but
yeah, okay, bro.
All the weapons now. Tom hating it over in Tampa. He don't even got to leave states. Florida's still no income tax. Come on now.
Mm-hmm.
You know where he'd be headed. And Miami will welcome him because they can't let this roster go to waste with Tua. So, and that would be interesting because then you see Bill Belichick twice a year for Tom. But, yeah, man, that wraps up our Week 14 recap, man. Week 15 starts tomorrow. Team off Thursday night. 49ers, Seahawks. It was another bad week of picks, like I've already stated. I don't think we have too many picks this week. I think you said you have one. So I'll let you say that, then I'll say what I have to say.
My one and only pick comes tomorrow. I got the 49ers -3. I think that defense is gonna be too much for Geno. Geno hasn't really played as good these past couple of games. Kenneth Walker, he gonna be playing this week, but he's a little bit banged up also. So it's gonna be interesting to see him out there, but I don't think he's gonna do too much versus this defense. So we'll see. I think Brock Purdy, he gonna do enough to get a win again. He was Iowa State. I mean, best quarterback pretty much ever. Like, he put up some crazy stats.
He got all the records down there.
Oh yeah, all the records. So seeing him with the 49ers, I don't know. Like you said, if he get a Super Bowl or make it to the Super Bowl and he's playing lights out, maybe this is his team. So I don't know. It's very interesting to see. I love a good story like his. So it's very, very interesting to see. So yeah, I got the Niners -3.
That's crazy. That's the same play I got. And 49ers -3. And then, like I was telling you before we turned on the recording, I didn't tell you they were my third team. So I got the Bills, my Chiefs, and 49ers all in a parlay. And I think it's like plus 120 odds or something like that. And those are my 2 picks for now. What else I was gonna say? I've talked about it, but now the week is finally here. This weekend, I'm gonna be at the Texans Chiefs game. Literally, I think probably like maybe 5 or 6 rows right behind the Chiefs bench. Crazy enough, the tickets were only like $120. So shout out to the Texans being trash because the the tickets are cheap.
It
But
gonna be nobody in there too.
gonna be nobody in there. I'm planning to
Probably
get
be a lot
there.
of Chiefs fans.
Oh yeah, we travel. Just
Yeah.
I don't know if they'll show it on the broadcast, but just know whenever they get done saying the national anthem in the home of all you can hear is Chiefs all across the stadium.
Damn.
Probably one of the best traveling fan bases in the whole NFL. Can't wait to be there. I'm gonna be there early, catch warm-ups, try to get some autographs, maybe pitch the podcast to Travis because like, hey man, like I know you got new heights. Come on, I need it. You know what I'm saying? Something crazy. But yeah, man, I'm gonna try to do a little vlog and stuff, get key moments throughout the day. And then I'm gonna wait for the player props to come out, but more than likely, or not more like I will be. I'm really staying away from the games this week to just watch, but I'm gonna bet on some props this week in game and just to be there and watch. So next week's episode will definitely be really good. Gonna have the vlog, the first part, and then the podcast after, man. So can't wait to bring it all to you. Like we said, we're not really playing any games this week. Been a rough 2 weeks. Just gonna sit back, refine, look at some things. But we are on the 49ers -3. And if you want to sprinkle on that parlay, I said 49ers, Bills, Chiefs, like plus 120 as of right now. Yeah, man, go get that.
Yes,
but
sir.
Hope you enjoyed the recap. Nice little episode. A lot to talk about. Said it's playoff football now, headed into week 15. A lot of movement can happen between now and the end of the season, but who knows, man? Who knows? Just gonna be excited to watch it all unfold down the stretch. Another episode in the books. Your favorite kids from the neighborhood. I Need It Sports Podcast, man. You already know what it is. Your boy is signing out. I need it. We out, man.
I need it.